Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista here on YouTube, and today is Friday, February 2nd. And it is another day for a WIP and chat and true crime story time. We will read two true crime stories. Yes, I know you guys have been liking these the past couple of days. And since I've been doing nothing because of my foot, why not, right? So my foot is feeling better, which is good. And yesterday I decided if I knew I was going to be sitting for a while, I took the boot off and let my foot have a breather because, you know, the boot puts weight on your leg and your foot. And yeah, so it was towards the evening when we sat down for dinner and I knew that Bill would get up and get it all and I wouldn't have to get up for a few hours. I took the boot off. And I also had it off, I think I sat in my chair here after I did the video and I read for a long while. And then, of course, when I'm sleeping, I don't have it on. But yeah, my MRI is not until next Friday. And so I will be wearing the boot at least until that point because I figure it's helping my foot. So I'm off work today and I'm off Monday. So I might do another true crime on Monday. We'll see. But I will do my normal, although, I really don't have much of an update on Sunday. I might just do another true crime on Sunday. I don't know. I have no idea. Because I have not done any stitching this week because at night, normally I would stitch in the evening. And when it's bedtime, I've just been going to bed. And because I want to rest my foot, and I've been like going to bed much earlier than I used to. I've been going to bed like 9:30. And so I've been getting good rest, which is good. But yeah, I haven't been stitching. I only have one more motif to do on the Warm Winter Wishes. And I'm going to make that into a pillow. And I'm debating because I want to work on the Primrose Cottage Stitches Valentine Quaker next. And I think I'm going to do it on pink frost perforated paper. And I'm debating whether to do it on fabric or do it on paper. Because if I do it on fabric, I can make it into a pillow. But I really want to do a new scrapbook page for my door. And if I do that on perforated paper, I can do a scrapbook layout that's Valentine themed. So, and perforated paper is easier to work on than fabric. I don't have to put it in a Q-snap. I can just hold it in my hand. We'll see. We'll see. So I also started a new book yesterday. Kirsten Moglin came out with a new book yesterday called The Stranger, and I have read every single one of her books. She doesn't have her books any longer on Kindle Unlimited, so you have to purchase it, but her books are inexpensive. On Kindle, it was only $6.99. So it's pretty good. I like all of her books. I like the way she writes, so I have been enjoying that since yesterday. I'm reading a couple books. One book is by Joseph Wynn, the guy that wrote the About Your Thoughts. It's a poem book that he wrote, so I've been reading that. And then I've also been reading The Ghost of Departure Point by Eve Bunting, which is a book I read when I was a young adult, teenager, and got that really cheap on eBay. And yeah, so been reading. I read a bunch this morning. Bill, before he went to work, he brought the laundry down and put it in the washing machine for me. And when I turned the washing machine on, I got back in bed and just read until it was done. So that would save me a trip up and down the stairs. So, but yeah, no plans for the weekend, obviously, because of my foot. And I think I'm even going to Instacart groceries on Sunday. So I'm not trying to traipse around the grocery store in a boot. At least for this Sunday. So we will see. But okay, I am still working on Poinsettia Pixie. After I finished filming the WIP and chat yesterday, I finished that section, so I am on a completely new square. So I will be starting with the black. And when Bill came home from work yesterday, I was filming the diamond painting portion of the video. So I said, you're going to have to make me a frame here pretty soon. I'm almost finished. She goes, yeah, I can see that. And so we were talking about like where to put that diamond painting, because on the wall above, like the wall where my desk is, my diamond painting desk, there's nothing on the wall except my, I have like a ruler there, eyeglasses, which I'm going to move all that stuff. Because he said if I move, like, I might even move the stuff to the back of the door, because I didn't even think that would be an option, but it is. And that would be a really get it out of the way. Nothing's on the back of the door. And the 3M hooks will peel right off the wall, so I can reuse them. And he said if I just moved them down, I could probably fit 3 diamond paintings on that wall. So that's the goal. That's what we're going to try to do, is fit 3 diamond paintings on that wall, because then it would probably be almost another year, this year, before I would have to start rotating, because it takes me 3-4 months to do a diamond painting. So we'll see about that. But I may go in there today, because even though I'm trying to rest my foot as much as I can, I have to get up and do something sometime. So just walking around in there won't put too much pressure on my foot, and it will take me 5 minutes to move that stuff. So that may be the goal too, for me to do that today. Oh, but last night, so, when Bill and I have dinner, and last night I didn't even have dinner. I wasn't hungry. And that's something new with my eating plan too. If I'm not hungry, and I told him, I said, don't be offended, I'm just going to have a fruit smoothie. So that's what I had. It was really good. I get this organic, it's berries and like kale and spinach, and it's separated into packs already. So I just put that in the blender, and it's from Costco. I forget the brand. It's the only one they sell that's like that. And I do that, and then I buy the Too Good to Be yogurt, which is hardly any, I think it's like 1 gram of sugar, 2 grams of sugar. And I buy the strawberry. So I put that in there and a cup of water, and it's like perfection. I really, really like that smoothie. So I had that yesterday for dinner. But we are always trying to find new stuff to watch, because Hell's Kitchen ended. We've started watching The Bachelor. And there is a new game show, and it had 5 episodes, I think, so far on Hulu, called The Floor with Rob Lowe, where it's all about trivia. And so we watched, I want to say 2.5 episodes of that yesterday. We like it very much. So we will probably finish the rest of those episodes tonight and catch up, and then just have one a week to watch after that. It's really good, though. I really, really enjoy it. So, okay, true crime. So the first one is Patricia Wells. William Jennings had walked a hard road through life, a road that had plunged him to the very depths of alcoholism and brought him back along the precipitous path to recovery. But recover he had, not only rising above his addiction, but thriving in its aftermath. By the age of 73, William was retired and financially secure. He was also giving back to his community of Wilson, North Carolina. William was an active member of Alcoholics Anonymous, a good Samaritan who gave freely of his time helping other sufferers. It was one of these missions that brought him to the Westwood Manor nursing home in June 1983. Jennings was there to counsel an alcoholic patient, but he ended up having a long conversation with one of the nurses, 40-year-old Patricia Wells. Now, right off the bat, he's 73, she's 40. That would be like my age and my father's age, right? Sometime, maybe. Or could even possibly be, no, it would be too young to be a grandparent. But It would be more like a father figure, I would think. Except that, okay, over his subsequent visits, the pair spoke often, and William gained the distinct impression that the nurse was flirting with him. He quickly put that out of his mind. Why would she be interested in an old man like him? Now, I don't know what William looks like, but if you watched The Golden Bachelor on TV that was on recently, Gary, who is 72 or 73, he was a good-looking 72-year-old. Not that he would be dating a 40-year-old because his kids are that age, but it's possible, right? And you don't know if Patricia saw a meal ticket, saw a way out of a financial situation. Obviously, we're going to hear more. Except that Patricia was interested and made her intentions clear after their third or fourth meeting when she asked William to dinner. William accepted, of course, although he insisted on picking up the bill. Thereafter, this unlikely pair became a couple. In February 1987, they married. The bride was 44 years old on the day she said, "I do," and the groom was 77. I mean, anybody who knows them would be questioning that. You would be questioning that, right? Yeah. So what was it that Patricia saw in her much older lover? A clue may lie in a meeting that William scheduled with his friend and financial advisor, George Henry, in September 1987, 6 months into the marriage. The purpose of this visit was simple. William had decided that he wanted his wife to be financially independent. He wanted George to arrange for the transfer of half his cash holdings to Patricia, a sum of around $150,000. I'm going to say this again, and I hope you catch my drift. The china must have been good. Let me tell you, because men can be led around by their pants and not necessarily their brain, if you catch my drift, without being too vulgar. I mean, for him to do that, okay. So the request left his financial planner, his friend George, somewhat bewildered, right? Yeah. The man he knew was financially conservative and had accumulated his nest egg through astute investments. Yet here he was wanting to sign away half of his fortune with the stroke of a pen. Still, William was adamant, and so an account was opened for Patricia and the transfer was made. The new Mrs. Jennings responded by embarking on a spending spree. Her first stop was at a car dealership where she took ownership of a brand new vehicle. Then there were shopping sprees on clothes and jewelry, trips to the beauty parlor, meals at expensive restaurants. In no time at all, $150,000 had been reduced to a little over $20,000. Good night. I mean, if you're buying a new car and you're paying for it cash outright and then doing all that, wow. I mean, and you have to wonder what he thought about that, right? Because, I mean, she was a nurse. So was she still working? That's a good question, too. We can't say for sure what William Jennings thought of seeing his hard-earned money squandered in this way. That is because the William Jennings we were introduced to at the beginning of the story, the vital, energetic septuagenarian, the successful retired businessman, the compassionate counselor, had all but disappeared. In his place was a stumbling, stuttering wreck of a man, barely recognizable to his friends. Patricia told everyone who would listen that he was suffering the effects of dementia. The truth was considerably more sinister. Patricia had been doping him with various medications stolen from her workplace. As a trained nurse, she knew exactly which pills would mimic the effects of cognizant decline. Again, how do you do this to someone? You have to live with your decisions on a daily basis. I cannot imagine doing this to someone. I can't. And that wasn't even the worst of it. Patricia was also physically abusing her husband punching and kicking him, stomping him with the cowboy boots she liked to wear. The fuck? What? When William protested this treatment, she laughed in his face, saying that she could do whatever she wanted. What was he going to do about it? Report her to the police and let the whole world know that he couldn't stand his ground against a woman? And besides, no one would believe him anyway. You know, that brings something to mind that I watched a while ago. There was a movie. Do you remember when every Monday night they had a TV movie? Like made for TV? My mom and I were obsessed. We would watch all those movies. And, you know, when I was older, because the movie didn't come on until 9 o'clock and it was on until 11. So she would let me stay up once I was older because I had to go to school the next day. One of those movies, Judith Light, you know, who's the boss? She was abusing her husband physically. And he finally reported it, and he had trouble with people believing him. Because you would think a man would be able to overpower a woman. It was a heartbreaking movie, if you guys remember. I don't remember what the title of the movie was, but I know it was her, and she was the abuser. All she had to say was that he had dementia and was imagining things. Then he would look like a fool as well as a pathetic old man. And if that didn't work, she could always have him committed. He would die alone in some institution. Good God. Whether or not Patricia would have been able to carry out these threats, it is clear that William believed her. And so he kept his peace and suffered the escalating violence that his wife inflicted on him. Patricia even went so far as to confide her motive. She told him that it had been about the money at first, but that she had truly come to enjoy inflicting pain on him. What? I cannot. That confession was perhaps what prompted William's next move. Ha ha! In May 1989, William visited the law offices of attorney Knox Jenkins in Smithfield and arranged to have a will drawn up disinheriting his wife, Hugo William. I'm guessing this is not going to work out well for him, though, because her name is the title of the story. Yeah. At that time, Williams confided in the attorney that he was being physically abused, beaten, kicked, stomped, and dragged across the floor by Patricia. The attorney suggested bringing the matter to the police, but William declined, saying that he had a plan. Perhaps he was thinking of leaving Patricia. If that was the case, he never got the chance. Poor William. Before I even continue, poor William. At around 9:30 p.m. on September 19th, 1989, a call was made from one of the rooms at the Hampton Inn in Wilson to the front desk. The woman on the line sounded frantic and told the clerk that she was a registered nurse and that she had a code blue. When the clerk said that he didn't understand, she explained that it was a medical emergency. The clerk then dialed 911, bringing paramedics to the scene within just 5 minutes. There they found Patricia Wells desperately performing CPR on her husband, who was lying naked on the floor. The medics took over the resuscitation, but it was soon clear that their efforts were in vain. William Jennings was dead. Why was he naked? Okay. The question that now had to be answered was how William had died. One thing was clear from the outset. His wife wasn't telling the truth. You think? According to Patricia, she had found William lying on the floor 10 to 15 minutes before the paramedics arrived. But that was impossible. The body was already cold and rigor had begun to set in by then. That meant that William had died 4 to 6 hours before she even made her code blue call. So why the delay? And you know, you can't beat science. Like, yeah, there are ways for coroners and things to tell when someone has died. So good luck fooling that. Perhaps it was because William could not possibly have died in the way that Patricia was describing. She said that the multiple scrapes and bruises that covered his body were the result of frequent falls due to his declining mental health. As a registered nurse, she really should have known better. There was no way on earth that any medical professional was going to believe that William's injuries could have been caused by a fall. The coroner found cuts and bruises to the head, scalp, face, neck, legs, arms, and hands. There was also a significant tear to the abdominal wall, causing internal bleeding, which ultimately resulted in death. This had been caused by blunt force trauma to the abdomen, consistent with stomping or kicking. What? When I read what I'm about to read, you are going to scream like I just did. Additionally, get ready. There were injuries to the penis and perhaps most shockingly, tears to the anal cavity. William Jennings had been sodomized with some blunt object before his death. Patricia's assertion that he had suffered these injuries by falling in the bath was ludicrous. The only way that was even remotely possible, said the medical examiner, was if he had fallen from a height of at least 20 feet. So faced with the mounting evidence against her, Patricia came up with another explanation for her husband's horrific injuries. This one was even less believable than the original version. She now claimed that the damage was self-inflicted. William, in his declining mental state, had begun to self-harm. Among the bizarre claims that she included in this alternate reality was that William would stand, oh my good God. Another get ready. William would stand naked in the bathroom and bash his penis against the hand basin. There is no man out there that's going to do that. No. Nope. No. An even more outlandish claim was that she had once found William beating himself with a block of cheese contained in a plastic bag. What in the world? This is the craziest thing I've read in a really long time. As unbelievable as these claims were, Patricia would repeat them during her 1990 trial. It was no real surprise when the jury rejected her testimony and found her guilty of first-degree murder. For her abuse and torture of a defenseless elderly man, Patricia Wells was sentenced to death. That sentence was commuted to life in prison in 2013. With parole not specifically ruled out, there is a possibility that Wells may one day walk free. However, the North Carolina authorities consider that unlikely. Now in her 70s, so she's been in prison for quite a while now, it seems that the sadistic nurse is destined to die behind bars. Few would argue that it is a fate she deserves. Good night. Holy crap. That was wow. Wow. Okay, we are going to read one more. And wow. I mean, that was, yeah. This one is Alicia Allen. And that's an interesting way of spelling Alicia. It is spelled Ellisha. Alicia Allen, and they put a little picture of the person. She's pretty. Alicia Allen was 21 years old, and she had the world at her feet. An aspiring model, she was just starting to get regular work, just starting to dream of bigger and better things. But like so many who taste success in early life, Alicia had a destructive streak, a demon that threatened to derail her fledgling career. In her case, that demon was alcohol, and it had her in a firm grasp. Her favorite tipples, what the hell is a tipple? A tipple is, okay, to drink alcohol. It's an alcoholic drink, okay. Her favorite tipples were Bacardi rum and Bombay Sapphire gin, which she often mixed with antidepressant pills. It all came to a head on an international flight in August 2007. On that occasion, a drunken Alicia had gone to the bathroom and left her handbag behind. She then started accusing the flight crew of stealing the bag and ended up attacking one of the attendants. Her unruly behavior caused the pilot to turn the plane around and return to Gatwick Airport. There, Alicia was arrested. She compounded the problem by spitting in the faces of a police officer and of a nurse who was trying to take a blood sample from her. Wow. Alicia might well have ended up with a custodial sentence for her violent outburst, but the judge went easy on her and gave her community service instead. The glamour model ended up in coveralls picking up trash at the side of the freeway. It was while paying her penance that she met Carl Bloxam, who had been assigned as her work buddy. Like Alicia, Carl had a problem with booze. His particular stint on trash detail was due to a DUI conviction. But unlike his workmate, Carl was doing something about it, trying to stay on the wagon, trying to put his life back together. He was also a good listener, and Alicia had a lot to get off her chest. In no time at all, Carl's empathetic ear and quiet encouragement had won her over. The two of them became an item. That's a disaster in the making, obviously. But as Carl was soon to realize, life with Alicia was no picnic. She was two different people, loving and attentive when she was sober, violent and abusive when she was drunk, and she was drunk often. Frequently, police were called to the couple's home in Hucknall, a small town in Nottinghamshire, England. Sometimes these calls were placed by neighbors, concerned about the screams coming from the residents. On other occasions, it was Alicia who called, either claiming that she had been assaulted or threatening violence against Carl. Always, it was Carl who calmed the waters, telling the responding officers that there had been a misunderstanding and promising to bring his girlfriend under control. Over the years that followed, Carl Bloxam tried to do just that, tried to mitigate Alicia's erratic behavior. In truth, he never really stood a chance. Alicia had a myriad of psychological problems, suffering from depression, anorexia, and bulimia, in addition to her alcoholism. Periodically, she would clean up her act and peace would reign for a few months. But then Carl would arrive home one day and find her passed out on the sofa among a sea of empty liquor bottles. Then the problems would start all over again. After one such episode in July 2016, Carl finally conceded defeat and told his family and friends that he was leaving Alicia. They were delighted to hear it, having frequently warned him that she was dangerous. Breaking the news to Alicia, however, was not quite as straightforward as you can imagine. She begged him to stay and promised that she would change her ways. Carl, who had heard it all before, told her that it was too late for that. His mind was made up. It was over. And so we come to the night of July 29th, 2016. Over the course of that day, several text messages had passed between Carl and Alicia, with her pleading with him for another chance, and he adamant in his resolve to call time on the relationship. It ended with Carl telling her that he would be around later that evening to pick up his stuff. Given what he knew about Alicia's state of mind, he might have considered taking a friend along for support. Either that, or he might have waited until she was out before making his move. Yeah, if she was that volatile, I would be like, I'm going to come by when you're not there to get my stuff. But Carl could not have imagined that his girlfriend might have been prepared to inflict violence upon him. Sure, she had threatened to do so in the past, but she had never actually carried through with her threats. He expected histrionics, not physical harm. At around 8 p.m. that evening, neighbors heard the couple's dog barking, then the sound of doors slamming. A short while later, Alicia's strident voice cut through the din. "Please, Carl, don't leave me." This was followed by an inaudible reply by Carl, and then a more clearly discerned, "Stop that, you're hurting me." Then it all went quiet. About 10 minutes later came the sound of approaching sirens, and the neighbors just knew where they were headed. Something had happened next door, something terrible. It was Alicia herself who had made the 999 call, reporting in a detached voice, "I've just stabbed my boyfriend. He's dying in front of me." Officers who arrived at the scene found Carl Bloxam lying on the floor with a single knife wound to the chest, Alicia kneeling beside him covered in blood. Against the odds, Carl was still alive, but only just. He was rushed by ambulance to Queen's Medical Center in Nottingham, but it was already too late. A single thrust from a 6-inch kitchen knife had done the damage, entering the chest to its full length, severing important veins and arteries around the heart. Carl was dead on arrival. While this life and death drama was being played out, another was in play at the Spruce Grove police station where Alicia had been taken for questioning. By now, she had recovered some of her composure and had found time to tweak her story. She now claimed that Carl had arrived at the apartment drunk and had become abusive. She had only picked up the knife to protect herself. The fatal wound had been inflicted during a struggle, she said. It had never been her intention to harm Carl. She also added that she had mental problems, no doubt anticipating that such a defense might later be useful. But by the time the matter came to trial in September 2016, Ellen was singing a different tune. She admitted before the Nottingham Crown Court that there had been no aggression on her lover's part and that she had thrust the knife at him in a fit of anger. She still insisted, though, that she had not meant to kill him. She might not have, but effectively it was a guilty plea with extenuating circumstances. These included her mental state, assessed by a psychologist to include 5 characteristics of emotionally unstable personality disorder, her alcoholism, and a lack of premeditation. There was also heartfelt remorse for what she had done, defense attorney Peter Joyce assured the court. In the end, these mitigations were not enough to save Alicia Allen from prison. This was not a drunken assault on a flight attendant. This was not spitting in the face of a police officer. This was cold-blooded murder. Allen was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum tariff of 14 years behind bars. She will be 43 by the time she is eligible for parole. By then, her days as a glamour model will be well and truly behind her. And you know, it's really unfortunate. I mean, alcohol and drugs can just do such horrible things to you. Really, really can mess up your life. So I hope you enjoyed both of these stories and seeing me do some more diamond painting on Poinsettia Pixie. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.